Hello, solopreneurs. Today, we are getting deep into the weeds because we're talking about selling, which is essentially conversion. It has to happen. To operate in the black, you have to sell stuff, right? Well, that's exactly what we're going to talk about today, because selling is trickier than you might think. There are options, and sometimes we don't know which one to choose, and we don't know how to optimize, how to fix things if things aren't moving, if we aren't actually converting. So that's what we're going to talk about. Good stuff for every solopreneur. So welcome to the Solopreneur Life Podcast. My name is Kathryn Aragon, and I am your host. I have with me Jonathan Aragon on the sound, and I have given him permission to interrupt if he has something interesting to say or a good question. At Solopreneur Life, we are all about building and scaling your business so you can enjoy the freedom, flexibility, and fun that come with owning your own business. So join us every week as we dive into the ups and the downs of running a solo business. Today, we're talking about 2 ways to sell and succeed. But before we dive in, take a minute right now to subscribe to the Solopreneur Life Podcast so you don't miss a single episode. Okay, let's start with these 2 ways of selling. What are they? Well, you can sell personally. That's face-to-face. It's one-on-one sales. The other is automated, and that's where people find your landing page and buy from it. Now, each is good for a different purpose. So what about one-to-one? You get on a sales call with your prospect. You give a demonstration, you do discovery, you negotiate terms, and answer their questions. That's essentially one-to-one sales, right? Doesn't actually happen that fast. Usually you're doing one-to-one sales when it's difficult to sell the product any other way, where there are a lot of questions. That's a high-dollar product, maybe a lot of objections. So the sales process is typically more complex, and there are a lot of personalizations that could be made. Now, that's not the only reason to sell face-to-face, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But just understand that this is a valid way to sell. It's actually how people have been selling for hundreds of years, just going to somebody and talking with them about the thing you've got. Now, the alternative is much newer. It's automated selling. And this happens on your website, whether you're paying attention or not. This is where that trope of the entrepreneur with his laptop sitting on the beach, sipping a drink, where all of that comes from. The idea that you can put sales on autopilot is very attractive. So what is this best for? Typically, it's used to sell digital products or courses. Anytime you have a no-touch or low-touch offer, if it's no cost and low cost, maybe it's higher touch, but it's still low cost. So it's a simple sales process. And it also works for proven products. Remember I talked about just a second ago on the face-to-face sales, that sometimes that's a complex sale. Well, it doesn't mean you couldn't automate it. It's just that maybe you haven't figured out the best way to sell. So if it's already proven, if you've already figured out, okay, what are the triggers? What are the things I have to say to move people to action? Well, you could experiment with creating a landing page using what you've learned. So which one of these is right for you? Well, you may already think you know, but the truth is both could be great for you. It just depends. So let's now move on to a little bit deeper into this discussion. What is the sales process? Because that's really what makes the difference. Sales is about moving your prospects through the customer journey as quickly as possible. So salespeople have a pipeline. And, we as digital marketers typically think of the funnel shaped like this, lots of people going in the top, people falling out as they come down the funnel, which means just a percentage of those people actually convert. Salespeople think of a pipeline, and I think of a pipeline going horizontally, not up and down. So the idea is people are not falling out of your pipeline. We're just trying to get them from A to B to C very quickly. And that's really what you're trying to do, whether you're doing digital marketing or face-to-face sales. So if you can do that with a landing page, great. You can do digital marketing. But if you need to do a strategy call and talk to people face-to-face and, actually talk them into what you're doing, that's going to take face-to-face sales, and that's fine too. Notice neither is better than the other. Neither one is more elite or more sophisticated. There are entire teams of salespeople who are doing the face-to-face sales. They're sending out contact letters, they're calling people, they're doing Zoom calls, but in the meantime, their marketing department is probably making landing pages, trying to collect leads and maybe sell introductory or prima products. Well, the point is to close, isn't it? The point is to get those conversions. So how you do it is actually less important than that you do it. So that brings us to the customer journey. How do you move people along the pipeline or deeper into the funnel if you don't understand that journey? So, to explain this, I'd introduced this concept of the ARC method. ARC, it's very simple. Basically, you have to start at the top of the funnel or at the beginning of the pipeline by getting their attention. This is the first thing you have to do. Then as people move deeper into the funnel or the pipeline, you're building relationship. And finally, at the bottom of the funnel, you do conversion. This works especially well. This is easy to see with digital marketing because you start with traffic, and what are you doing with that traffic? You're sending out an ad or an email or a social media post that will grab people's attention. See, that's the A in the ARC. Then you move them to a landing page where you can make the offer. And on that page, you're trying to build empathy. You're trying to help them understand that you get them. That's the relationship bit of it. And then you send them to an order page where you actually make the sale. That's conversion. So the ARC method is perfect for understanding the digital marketing side of things, this automated way of selling. But it can also work for face-to-face sales. I've come up with this 4 C's of conversion is what I call it. And essentially, it's got the ARC built into it. You just have to think about it a little bit differently. Now, the first of my 4 C's of conversion is the CTA, because nothing ever happens if you don't actually ask people to take action. Now, this could have been the CTA on your ad. It could be the CTA that you finally give in the sales process, but you do have to get their attention in order to give them a call to action. So let's apply that to attention. And here, as I said, it could be email, social media, some connection, a lead magnet download, but you give this CTA, hey, you need to learn more. All right, then you have conversations, don't you? And that's where you do discovery. You build that relationship. You get them to trust you and to understand that, hey, I really do have a solution for you. So as you're having this conversation, you can start picking their brain. What is their up at night problem? What's the thing that just keeps them on edge? Ask them questions and listen, because it's really the secret to sales is listening. If you don't understand what people are trying to achieve and what's getting in their way, you can't offer anything that will help them. To offer your solution in a way that will resonate with them, you have to have these conversations. And then the 3rd C, consultation, that's where you diagnose, you build authority. And, as you talk with them, you figure out what those things are that they need. So in this consultation side of things, you tell them, okay, here's what I'm seeing. Here's what I believe you need. And here's how you can achieve it. And sometimes, believe it or not, it's not your product. I have many cases where I'm talking with someone and we come to the agreement that I am not the solution. So making the sale is not necessarily the point of this consultation. You're trying to diagnose and send them to the right resource. And then finally, contract. This is where you have reached that agreement. You have decided that you guys are good for one another, and you'll negotiate, finalize the terms, and deliver the product. So what are these 4 C's of conversion? The CTA, having a conversation, a consultation, and a contract. Now, believe it or not, that arc is still built in there. It just looks sideways. It looks slightly different than the digital marketing thing because we throw in a conversation. We didn't decide, oh, we know what you're thinking. We go and we talk to the person to ask them what they're thinking. So you're getting their attention. You're building relationship, and you're doing what it takes to convert. Now, both digital marketing and face-to-face sales, you're doing the same thing. Think about this. You're following a recognized process, and you're starting broad with low commitment. I just want to get it. How about we hop on a call and chat, and see if we're a good fit for one another? Or, hey, just go visit this landing page and I'll give you a free download. Recognized process, low commitment. But then little by little, we move them to more focused, high interest state of being where we can actually begin to sell to them. We're also building know, like, and trust throughout the entire process because you cannot sell if they don't trust you. So they need to know you. They need to like you. Most of all, they need to trust you. There is actually a company I don't like much, but I will download their products and buy some of their low-cost products. Every time they try to get me on a sales call, and every time I have to tell them, no, I'm not going to buy your big dollar product. You've already offended me when talking with me about that. So I do want to warn you, you can get away without the like, but you must have the know and the trust. They need to know that you can deliver. They need to understand what you do and how you do it. And they need to trust that you will follow through. I recently had a client who was like, well, have you ever done local marketing? I was like, yes, actually I have. Here's another name. You can go talk to them. Sure enough, they went and talked to them before calling me back and saying, okay, thumbs up, let's move forward. So that trust, they want sometimes to have validation, proof that you can do what you've done. And that's tricky if you're just starting out, but the more you build your reputation, the more success stories you can tell, the easier it is for them to trust. So again, what is this proven process that we're doing? You've got the broad general interest. I'm not going to ask you for a lot of commitment. And then little by little, you ask for more and more commitment. You're building all along this journey the know, hopefully like, and trust. And you're also building authority. You're establishing yourself as the best source for solving the problem. That's one of the things I like about a sales process. That consultation, the conversation and the consultation stages, that's where you build authority like nothing else. Because if you can come in and talk with someone intelligently about what's going on in their business or in their life, you've got it. You've got it made, because if you can anticipate the things they're dealing with, if you've got stories you can add to the mix, if you can ask the right questions, sometimes they don't know how to evaluate what's going on. They don't even know what the questions are that they should be asking. So you asking probing questions actually tells them that you understand the problem, and that suggests that you know the answer as well. And then finally, what's this last thing you're doing in these conversations? Whether it's digital marketing on a landing page or face-to-face, you're overcoming objections. See, objections are the second thing that keep people from buying. The first is lack of trust. The second is they have these little obstacles they've got to jump over. Sometimes it's a state of being, a state of thinking. They don't believe there is a solution. They've given up. Well, if that's the case, you have to bring their belief system along. That's an objection or an obstacle that's going to get in the way of them buying. That conversation is the best way to bring them along. Sometimes it's a money issue or a time issue or something else. Maybe they don't feel like they have the resources, or maybe they feel like what you're offering is, oh, it's for those people. I'm not that kind of person. And you need to help them decide maybe they are the wrong kind of people, but maybe they are the right people and they just don't see it yet. So understanding their objections and helping to overcome obstacles is a big part of selling, whether you're doing it digitally or face-to-face. It's really what sales is about. Now, when your offers don't convert, and you know, we've all been there. We've created that landing page and crickets. Nothing, right? Well, we do that because we've been told digital marketing works. And the truth of the matter is, it seems easy. I build a landing page, I send traffic, and boom, everything is automated, right? Well, it just seems easier. It really isn't, because in order to sell digitally, you must know your audience, like inside and out. You've got to know what's keeping them up at night. You need to know the way they talk, and you've got to already know the conversation that will actually convert them. So sometimes we absolutely, it's not a matter of the offer is wrong, the price point is wrong, or that we did a bad job building the landing page. It's that we don't have enough data to get all of this right. And when that happens, you need to start talking to real people. So even though, yes, we love the idea of automating, we love the idea of just building a landing page and sending traffic, sometimes that won't work right away. We need to take a step back, and we actually need to start talking to people. Now, there are a lot of introverted solopreneurs who don't like that idea. We like the idea of being able to run a business without actually talking to people. Well, that's not always going to happen. It's a great idea. It's a great concept. But let me tell you this, the higher dollar your offers become, the more important it is to actually talk with people. They are not willing to commit $10,000 to you if they haven't actually spoken with you. They want to get that sense from you of, do I actually resonate with you? Do you understand me? Can you just answer my questions that I throw at you? How well do you do that? If they get to talk with you, they get that feeling. And so that is sometimes all it takes to throw them over the edge. Maybe all they were wanting to do was just validate that I like you. So taking a step back from digital and realizing that talking to people could make the difference, that puts that conversation into a totally different perspective. I loved for years being able to run my business without talking to people. I am an introvert. I don't always, if you put me in a crowded room of people, I am not the person in the middle talking with everybody. I'm usually kind of on the edge talking with one or two people, or just watching. I love people watching. But the truth of the matter is, selling requires conversations. Running a business requires conversations. And the biggest points of growth in my business came from talking to people. Sometimes clients, believe it or not, a simple question from a client or prospect could trigger an entire bigger idea that helped me refine my offer, refine my business. It just took a question. Sometimes it's me talking with a friend who's also a solopreneur or another business owner, and they're really just maybe curious about what's going on in my life. Maybe they're just asking random questions, but the right mention, the right word from them, and it gets my brain going in a whole different direction. Now, that's why conversations are so important. You have to be around other people in order to spark interesting ideas. Sometimes that's what you need to do for your clients. So you're sitting here and your own growth depends on conversations. Now, let's reverse that. You're talking with a prospect, they have a problem, they have tons of questions, and they have no idea what it's going to take to solve the problem. So they're talking with you. Now you're the one asking the right questions, dropping the right nuggets to help them grasp, oh wait, I can see more. I can see where this road will take me. Oh, and I like where it's going to get me. Those conversations are key to growth, both for your business and for your client's business. And that's why you don't need to be afraid of these conversations. Don't be shy. You don't need to worry. I'd get nervous before a client meeting. Now it's so much more comfortable because I recognize I'm just partnering with these people. I'm just meeting with them to see what they need, if I'm a good fit, and what I can offer them that might help them. So the shift was really my own mindset. The shift was away from, I'm trying to run a business without talking to people, all the way to, I have a solution that can help people, and I want to get it into as many people's hands as possible. So yes, let's have a conversation, because I think I might be able to help you. See the difference? Instead of being pro-me, I'm pro-client. I'm thinking about them. I'm thinking about how I can help them. And that's making a difference for their lives, which then makes me feel better about my business. I'm enjoying a business. I have fun helping people succeed. And that's ultimately what we're doing in all of these conversations. We're figuring out, how can I help you succeed? And then we're negotiating terms, because of course I get paid for that. That's what sales are. Focus on how you can help people. Now, the face-to-face sales helps you dial in your messaging. Remember, you're having these conversations with people, which means you get to ask questions and throw out answers, and they'll give you answers, which gives you more data on your clients. But they are also going to ask you questions, those questions are going to tell you what their objections are. What are the obstacles that they see in their road? If you know what those obstacles are, when you go back to your landing page, you can refine the way you talk to people. So you can refine your messaging, your offer, your price, and anything else that breaks the deal. And when you've got that stuff, you put it in your landing page. That will very likely fix your digital marketing. So when offers don't convert because you're trying to do them digitally, back up. It's time to go face-to-face. So how would you do that? First, you could create a free offer. That could be a lead magnet or a free strategy call, because remember, that call, that's them getting to talk to you, the source, the solution giver. That's a free offer that's very valuable. Keep that in mind. You can connect with people on social media. You can fill your calendar up with meetings. Go ahead and get meetings in the calendar every week. And a good way to track whether you're actually doing your work as a salesperson is track how many meetings you have each week. That's a really good way to understand, okay, if I have this many sales calls, I actually convert this many clients. Am I on track for my end of year financial goals? See, keep track of this stuff. Have those real conversations. Do whatever it takes to close. So have that conversation and adjust on the fly as you're talking to people. Once you figure out what pushes them over the edge to take action, you've got it. You've got the information you need. So take notes and then refine your sales process until it's dialed in. You don't actually need to give up when a sales page or an offer doesn't work. You just need to have more conversations so you can figure out what's wrong. Now, so essentially, as you've seen, there are two ways to sell. There's digital, which is usually automated, and face-to-face, which is that one-at-a-time, conversation-based sales. Both work. Both have their place, actually. So let's not worry about which one is better. Let's just figure out which one works for you right now based on your situation. And then lean into your strengths. If you are really, really good at talking to people, of course, have those conversations. If you really do prefer to automate things, or maybe you're just so busy, your business is growing gangbusters, and you need those automated things to free up your time, then by all means, go digital. But no matter how you do it, focus on selling. Because if you don't have clients, if you don't have customers paying dollars for what you offer, you don't have a business. So what are you doing now to grow your business? Jonathan, did you have something you wanted to say?
Yes. You talked about the know, like, and trust.
Yeah.
But then you said something very interesting. You said that the higher dollar the product, essentially what you said, the more they need to like you. You didn't say it in so many words, but am I hearing you right? Because like if I go buy a pair of sneakers, I need to trust that this brand is going to deliver. but I don't need to know the CEO or like him.
No.
But if I'm going to be spending $25,000 on an automobile, I want to know that salesman has my back. Is that a fair interpretation?
Yes, I think it is. But let's back up to that B2C situation you were talking about with the tennis shoes. Sometimes you will buy a pair of tennis shoes from a brand that you decide you don't like, and then you'll never buy from that brand again. So even there, even though you may not know or like or care about the CEO, you still can develop a liking for a certain brand. And that goes for B2C, B2B, whether you're talking to the salesperson or not. So when you're selling, you've got two issues with the liking going on. You've got, does that person like you, the salesperson? And then do they like your company and your offer? So you have to think about it both ways. I have actually there is one company that comes to mind right away. I love the company. I love the woman who runs the company, but I don't need the offer. The offer isn't exactly right for me, and I don't dislike what she's teaching. I dislike that it would interrupt the way I'm trying to grow my business. So that liking her wasn't enough to convince me to buy. But liking the offer, that if I liked the offer, even if I was iffy on her, I'd probably buy. So people need to like what you're offering. They need to like you, because especially if they're going to be working with you long term. And then they need to like the outcome. What are you promising me? And is that something I actually want?
So liking the outcome is perhaps more important than liking me. But if I turn them off,
they won't buy from you at all.
Yeah, because you mentioned that client that you'll buy the low dollar products with them, but you don't want to engage with them on the higher level products because you don't like the way that interaction goes. Yes.
Too often they talk to me in a way that's demeaning and manipulative. And I won't buy from a company that I feel manipulated by. So sure, you've got good training materials, but I certainly am not buying that high dollar offer where I have to deal with you long term.
Right. So as much as anything, all three are equally important, but they have different weight.
I think that's yes, depending on your product, what kind of business you run, will they be working with you long term? Or is it just a one-off purchase?
Or is it that distant digital where I don't have to be as interactive or as face-to-face with
yes,
you?
If there are products that I've bought over, let's say courses, where I never interacted with the brand at all after I bought the course, then the liking doesn't matter quite as much. And that's why I said hopefully they like you. But if you're selling your services, you're going to be actually interacting with your client on a weekly, monthly basis. Yeah, they're actually, at that point, they're looking at, do I like you? Okay? So, good questions. And I appreciate Jonathan speaking up, because many times I just jump from one idea to the next. And having him throw in these questions, I feel like helps me get clearer for all of you. So we've been on the back end. Jonathan just started running my tech a few weeks ago, which frees me to just focus on the podcast material. But we've been actually talking about ways we can make this more engaging, and I really like it when people ask me questions. And so Jonathan throwing out his questions, I feel like that helps us go even deeper. So be on the watch out for that. We'll probably keep doing that. I feel like the show is actually better when we get to engage on that level. So now, what about your business? What are you doing to grow it right now? What are you investing in your own growth? The hub at Solopreneur Life is our group coaching community where you get ongoing training. The kind of stuff I'm teaching today in this episode, we have an entire library full of training that goes even deeper, where you have resources and templates and videos of me talking and teaching you this material. You also get access to me and our entire community, where you can just ask for input and help and share your water cooler conversation. because, we don't have that community in an office. We are working alone, and it helps to have a community of people who have your back. That's what we have at the Hub. So visit solopreneurlife.com/join-hub and take a look and see if this isn't the best thing for you. We keep it as simple as possible. We don't have a lot of asks. The point is to be there for one another and support one another so that even though we're working solo, we don't try to go it alone, because that's not how you're going to win this game. So don't forget to subscribe to the Solopreneur Life Podcast wherever you tune in, and visit us at solopreneurlife.com, and I'll be watching for you inside the Hub. Until then, stay awesome.